G'day, ladies and gents, and welcome back to War Thunder. Yes, I know I've been gone for a little bit, but everyone needs a break once in a while so they don't burn out. But hopefully, I'll be back for a long time. Anyway, today we're having a look at the best FOKKEH Wolf in the entire game. Yes, that's right, Octane. Not the A5, not the A8. It is the TAR-152H1. Which I believe was a design that was based off the FOKKEH 190. I'm not exactly sure where it originated from, but I do know it was designed by Kurt Tank himself, and it was designed as a high-altitude bomber interceptor, as you can see. It's got nice long wings, it's got very sort of thin wings as well, and the length of the wings is, I believe, designed to increase your lift at higher altitudes. It does sacrifice a lot of that old classic roll rate, but what it does have is an incredible turn rate. It is probably the best turning out of all the FOKKEH 190s, I believe, for its battle rating, and since it gets an air spawn, can turn, can climb, has great guns, it is probably the perfect fighter interceptor, in my opinion. It has fantastic guns, second to none. I believe the MK108s and the MG151s seem to have a really, really good ability to take out enemy targets with pretty much relative ease, honestly. The MG151s are very, very strong against fighters. They shred them without much difficulty. And the MK108s absolutely tear apart bombers, which is obviously what they were designed for. Now, what I'm doing here, I'm on probably the map that is the strongest for bombers, because the tickets bleed extremely quickly, and there aren't as many tickets to begin with. So, what we have is some pretty much an easy way for the bombers to win the game, and I'm in a bomber interceptor, which means that's good for me, but very, very bad if I stuff up. Now, I need to make sure that I approach these bombers correctly. I need to make sure that I take them out quickly, and I need to make sure that I get them before they can bomb these bases. So what I'm doing is I'm doing a slightly aggressive climb. I'm climbing into the enemy, and I'm looking on the horizon, on the mini-map, or wherever I can see them. I'm checking scoreboards, everything, to see if something pops up with a score, or with a ping, or something on the map to let me know that there is a bomber there, because I need to take them out. It's not a matter of the bombers being easy targets in this match, whilst they certainly can be considered that. The bombers in on this map are so strong that I actually need to dispatch of them before they get to the bombing bases. Now, this is something that I've already discussed multiple times. The question of bombers being, are they too weak? What needs to be done? And I think it needs a rework of the mechanic, I suppose. I would prefer to see them in EC, have a permanent EC mode, or perhaps a PvE mode. I know Gaijin said that they were looking at reworking AI, so that's a real possibility. Maybe we could have something like that. But that's in another video. There are other videos on my channel about bombers, and we can leave that aside, I think. I'd like to talk about the TAR-152, and in general, I'd like to discuss rank 4 planes in general. They're terrible stock. That's the main thing I want to get over. They are absolutely garbage when they're stock, until you get the engine injection. Now, I'm going to, I guess we're going to have a little story time while I massacre all these B-17s. When I was originally flying the G56, probably one of the best planes at its tier as well, I had a lot of issue, and I mean an absolute metric shit ton of issues with the G56. It just would not perform the way I thought it would. It just wasn't as powerful as I thought, and it just seemed to flop in general as a plane. The guns were good, but they weren't anything special to me. The performance was terrible because I was getting outclimbed by a lot of allied fighters like the LF Mark 9, etc., until I upgraded the engine injection. And that is when it all changed. It literally all changed from the engine injection. I went from hating the plane to it being one of my favorite planes, and it being one of the best planes statistically on my record as a pilot in War Thunder in the entire game. So that is really, really incredible. So my recommendation, I think personally when it comes to the grind, actually grinding out these mods, I think it's okay. I think it's in a good place. Whilst it is frustrating, it's not the end of the world, and it doesn't take 50, 60 matches to, say, spade the plane. It might take 30 if you've got premium, maybe a little bit more. But if you don't have premium, obviously it'll take maybe, I have no idea. It could take several matches before you manage to get the thing spaded. But let's return to the battle, and we'll return to this discussion a little bit later. So, F4u4, these things are really, really good. I'm not sure what altitude they're best at, but all I know is I'm sticking to my good altitude, let's say. I'm sticking to the higher altitudes. I didn't go for that Bearcat earlier on. And you can see me now, I'm catching this F4u because he's decided to bleed all of his energy in turns. I'm keeping my turns to a minimum. I'm conserving as much energy as possible. And as he starts to go down, I'm looking at him in his, corkscrew, I suppose. And I'm conserving my energy. I'm not following through. I'm going back up a little bit. And then I'm going for the re-engage. And he's just continuously rolling and rolling. And I'm just... It's slightly annoying when it gets to be like this. But, he's flying his plane well enough. Ideally, he should have had more energy. I can see those enemies out off in the distance. And I'm thinking, well, maybe the match is pretty much over. They're the only ones that I saw at the time. And I thought, maybe it's over. So I just decided to dive, grab a kill, and follow through. And here you can see the TAR 152 actually has a pretty decent dive rate. The Corsair is, I believe, one of the best props in the entire game for diving. And you can see here I'm able to catch it just in a shallow, shallow dive. Now, he decides to loop over. He doesn't have enough distance to do this stuff. And he's just bleeding energy. So what you want to do if you were the Corsair is I would climb back to your friendlies, those Spitfire and the Bearcat, and then I would re-engage with a bit of an energy advantage, or at least with equal energy states, rather than what this guy's doing, and he's sort of just bleeding it all, and he's put himself in a tactically unviable position. You can see I'm just sort of sitting behind him. I'm zero throttling even, just to mess with him, I suppose. And you can see I'm just rolling around. The roll rate of the plane is really good compared to the Corsair. Almost get rammed by the D13, who's got his engine off for some reason, the prop's stuck. I noticed that's a little trend with FOKKEH Wolves in general. If the engine RPM is too high, the prop will just stop spinning. I believe maybe the auto. I believe the FOKKEH Wolves have some sort of auto prop pitch thing built into the propeller and the hub, where if the propeller, it automatically adjusts to the best setting, I suppose. Auto feathers, stuff like that. And that might be a feature there, and I'm not really sure what that's all about. But, if you're in a situation like that, you double tap your engine button, which for me is I. Now, back to the battle, and you can see the tickets are pretty much gone. This is what I mean by bombers having such a strong role. The Heinkel 177 in the distance has done most of our bombing, and I believe there's a JU 288 somewhere around. And honestly, the magnitude at which bombers in this battle can affect the outcome is pretty insane. But that's not to worry, because I'm still going to get kills. Maybe this once, but I would like matches like this to not be cut short as much. Perhaps make them a little bit longer. Maybe 15 minutes would be ideal. But that would allow for people to be a little bit more tactical rather than sort of just rushing in and it all being done in 5 minutes. But you can see there, that Bearcat is the start of what I thought was going to be the end of my team. The Bearcat there is up at altitude, and he's been killed. There's nothing left of him. And I'm on 2 kills. I'm sort of just chilling, 3 kills rather. Chilling, being happy. And I see the Hornet in the distance. I think, you know what? We've just got to clean him up. And I'm checking, having some fun, having a relax. By the way, I recorded all this while I was streaming, so if you want to come down and have a geeze, I suppose, you're more than welcome to come along. Link will be in the description below. I won't be streaming as this video goes live, but you can always set a notification or check back whenever you feel bored or something like that. I tend to stream at weird hours of the night, especially for, I guess, everyone. There's no real schedule, nothing like that, but maybe you'll be able to catch me streaming one day. Anyway, what I'm doing here now is I'm going into a climb. Now, one of the things that the TAR 152 never really had was a great climb rate. Because it's got the air spawn, it starts really well, and it's got a nice climb rate, I suppose. But it's nothing seriously exceptional. Spitfires outclimb it. P-47M outclimbs it. You can see the Corsair would have outclimbed me without the air spawn. And there's really not a whole lot you can do without altitude. Especially considering the performance of this plane mostly relies on high altitudes. Now, I'm not exactly at high altitude, and there is a Bearcat up at altitude. So, I'm in a little bit of strife. I put my climb up nice and aggressive, and then I see a Corsair at low altitude. So, I have to dive for him, and there's the Hornet below. I only just noticed these guys. If it wasn't for the Corsair showing up, I would have probably died. I miss because I'm bad on the Corsair, and then I go for the Hornet. I figure the Hornet is a pretty important target because that thing is really, really fast and will outrun me at every altitude. So if I dispatch of it now, then I won't have to worry about it later. Now, that's nice and done. That's all good, all done. Now it's time for the F4u Seven. Now, you can see I'm rolling over. I was going to roll to a sort of 90 degree to his maneuvers, but that would just put me straight in front of his guns because he can really easily counter that. Now, I'm just sort of turning with him, playing with him, messing around a little bit, and I'm out of MK108s, which is not that great for me, but, you know, I have a little bit of ammo left to spare, and I decide to spray a fair bit, which is a bit dumb. You can see he's doing the corkscrew dive like his buddy earlier, and he met the same fate. He's popped his smoke. So I pop my smoke, tricolor beats two wings, and yeah, I lose control because I wasn't paying attention. You can see there that he's ripped his flaps, so now I know if he's going to involve himself in a turning engagement, then he's going to not have a great low-speed handling, especially considering that he's lost his flaps. So the Corsair is already a heavy aircraft, and then you take its flaps away. And throw a Bearcat behind me with smoke on, and you can see me evading here. I'm rolling. I'm getting slow, so I put my flaps up just for that little bit of lift, see if I can get above the Bearcat, and I almost, very, very almost die there, and it was incredibly close. This Bearcat is starting to stall out, probably stock, that'd be my guess. And I'm using my flaps, I'm using my everything I can to try and stay above, and surely enough he pulls off because I've got friendlies around, and for the most part he doesn't. The Corsair, despite me getting some solid hits, doesn't reward me with an assist, which I'm a little bit upset about, but there's really not a whole lot you can do, especially considering that now I have 24 rounds of ammunition. There's nothing really that I can do aside from getting a nice shot like that. There we go. Ace in the TAR 152. Now, this is why it's the best FOKKEH Wolf of all. Because it can turn, it can reasonably climb, it has good low-speed maneuverability. And that is one of the things that I really, really love, especially being a Spitfire fanboy. Now, one of the things, of course, that the Spitfire loves doing is being good handling at low speed. And, you know, bravo for the TAR 152H. It's just so much fun. And it's such a good plane. But you have to get all those upgrades. So once you get them, it'll be fun. But until then, keep grinding. Thank you very much for watching, ladies and gents. Take care and safe flying. Much love. Thank you, XD.